I love football.
I bloody love football.
Back of the net.
Tired. Hungry. And a lot of times I use the word horny to my players.
When we make clean sheet, I pay to everybody a pizza.
No. You have to make a decision in relation to that, because I need to know from you what is the most important thing. If it is to play well, or if it is to win matches.
We've shown wonderful character this week.
You're very welcome along to the DLR Wave Show, episode 5 of the 2022 season. And we have Lynn Craven, new signing this week. Lynn, you've already gotten a goal this season, so you certainly made your mark in the first game. How are you finding playing for DLR Waves this season?
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. The first game was a brilliant start. I was obviously happy to get into the starting 11 first week in, and then to top it off with a goal. I was delighted. And then obviously to keep the clean sheet, I thought we got off to a really, really good start first 2 games in. And then obviously Galway, we were a little bit disappointed with the draw, and then team out last week. There's obviously been results that we thought we could have got more out of, but I think overall it's been a solid start, and we are showing other teams in the league and people watching the league that we're a team that's going to be in contention for the league this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Avril on the first episode, and she was saying that you'd probably be underestimating yourselves if you didn't say your goal is to at least put together a good title challenge. To go last year before you were in the squad was to finish in the top 4. That was done quite well. The game against Peamount, it was a tough game. It just seemed Peamount have that bit of know-how, that bit of experience in a title race, and I think that showed early on.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a tough one to take, as I said. I just think first half we weren't up to the mark, and I wouldn't even say it was the complete first half. It was, we conceded 2 goals in the space of a few minutes, and I think that kind of killed us, and maybe a few of the heads dropped and things. But then once we went in at half time, we didn't even need much talking from the lads. We knew ourselves that it wasn't good enough, and I think anybody that was at the game, DLR fans or Peamount fans, I think would agree that we were unlucky not to get a draw out of the game, if not a win. Because the second half we really did show the team that we are, and obviously the girls coming in, like Elise and Mia and all the girls coming in, they really did bring another few levels to the game and change the game coming on. Like that's what our subs have been doing every single week. They've been changing the game. So look, it's a tough one to take, not getting any points from it, but I think we're just glad that it happened 4 games in and we can still get them twice more. So it's a long season, and we'll just learn from it, and we can bring that second half performance into next week against that loan.
Yeah, and of course, not many teams are going to be Peamount 2-0 in the second half of a game in their stadium, so there are positives, and like you said, there's the subs. Brian likes to call them game changers. They certainly did change the game.
Yeah, and it's been like that every single week. I think every game we've had, the subs, like as you call them, like they're game changers. That's what they are. And right from the first game, I think Sarah came on and got the assists, and then Joy was coming on and scoring, and Rachel Doyle came on and scored. So it's every single game those girls that aren't in the starting 11 are really taking their chance then when they come on and changing the game completely for us. So I think that's the beauty about our squad, is that we have players coming off the bench are as good and doing the exact same job, if not a better job, when they come off the bench. And I think every team in the league knows that we have a really, really strong squad, and you need a squad like that for a season that's so long. So yeah, I think it's really important to have.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth, and you look at it, you can nearly put out 2 teams that could do reasonably well in most games. It seems like it's helping so far, having that kind of depth, just that competition. Everyone knows if they don't have a good game, they're probably not even going to be on the bench next week. I was speaking with Rachel Doyle last week, and she was saying about the game she came on against Sligo. She came on and scored 2 goals, and that was the motivating factor in not starting. She would come on and score again. There's that kind of healthy competition in the squad. Yeah,
as you said, it's healthy. Even in training last night, we have the squad that we can play a really competitive 11v11. I know probably a lot of teams in the league couldn't do that. Like they wouldn't have first of all the numbers to do an 11v11. And then on top of that, to make it really competitive, we have 2 or 3 players for every position. And as you said, it's healthy. Whatever 11 goes out, the game changers, the ones that don't start, like they're happy for the girls, but they know when they come on, they have a job to do as well. So I think it's just really pushing everybody on. Like there's not one player on the team that knows or thinks they're going to be in the starting 11. It's really how you perform each week, and I think that's going to really stand to us going through the whole 3 rounds of the league.
Yeah, and as you said there, it is a long season. Your role's changed a little bit this season. You're playing more central at times. Do you have a preference for fullback or central, or do you kind of just do what you're told and be quiet about it?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Well, I suppose like centre back. It's the first time I played centre back. Since coming into DLR, I was put in one of the friendlies. I think. I didn't have a clue what I was doing at the start, but obviously having girls like beside me and having a player like Jess Gleason beside me to talk me through it, and he's behind me. I'm actually enjoying it now at the moment. I really do enjoy full back. It's completely different positions, getting up and down the line. There are sometimes I try and go on a run and I'm told straight away to get back, that kind of way. So it's just kind of getting used to it. But I'm really enjoying playing alongside Jess and at the back and getting up for corners and stuff. That's where the goal came from. Probably I didn't get that chance with the club I was with before being a full back. You're usually told to stay back for corners, so I'm enjoying that kind of sense of it as well. But no, as I said, it's a position that I'm learning each game, and the lads have been really helpful, Sullo and John and Laura Hefton and stuff. They've been talking me through it, and I'm learning, and that's what I love to do. And coming to DLR, that was one of my goals, was to learn, and I think that's the best way to do it, being thrown into a new position. I am really, really enjoying it.
What do you think the biggest difference is? We know this kind of in modern football, fullbacks are almost kind of midfielders, attacking players, and really more attackers than defenders at times. What is there? Have you had to kind of change your mindset into a bit more defensive this season?
Yeah, I think so. And there's sometimes if you give a pass as a fullback, if you give a pass, like you're running forward and you're looking for the turn ball straight away. And there has been times in games I might have played a pass forward, and your natural instinct after playing fullback for so many years to make your run forward. But obviously I can't do that now with strikers staying up top. So I think that's kind of just things that used to come natural to me. I'm kind of having to say or to hold back a little bit defensive wise. But as I said, I just think the big thing is having the girls around me, Jess beside me, the two fullbacks, Eve behind me, like they're talking through it the whole way through, and even the lads on the sideline, they're constantly talking me through it. So yeah, it's gone well so far.
Yeah, Jess Gleason and Eve Bandana, two good players to be around in the defence. Why DLR Waves this season? You were playing for Wexford. Why did you decide to come to DLR Waves?
Well, obviously just from leaving Wexford, I am from Dundalk, so it was a really long distance to be doing for 3 years. It was tough, but as I said, like I said it before, I loved every minute of it. And then just with working this year, I'm working at home, so it just wasn't doable anymore, and I knew the move had to come. So as soon as last season kind of finished up, I was in talks with Graham, and straight away, I knew DLR was the team I wanted to come to. I knew a lot of the girls, at DLR have been with Shells in the past, so that was obviously something that drew me to the club. And from playing against DLR as well, it was always a team that, although I think a lot of players give P9 Wexford and Shells the credit all the time, DLR are a team that you don't like playing against, and they're a hard working team. So I'd like to think to myself that I would give 100% in every game, and DLR is a team that do that. So I thought I'd fit nicely in there. And then just what Graham said from the meetings, you can really see that it's happening now. The hard work, he mentioned the competition, he said that we're going to be pushing, and everything's happening so far. So it's a decision that was easy to make then when I knew I was leaving Wexford, and a decision that I'm so happy with now. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah, you fit in so far. It was kind of a big statement of intent. You signed very early on. I think you signed about a week after the cup final or something, and it was very early. And you look back on your time at Wexford, obviously finished well with a cup win, a couple of league titles and cups in there. It was a success anyway. I'm sure you enjoyed your time at Wexford.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. As you said, it's a success. We were in the Aviva, we were in Tala, we had Champions League football as soon as I signed for Wexford from Shell. So on the pitch was a success, and I have friends that I've made for life from Wexford that I'm still in contact with now. So it was probably, looking back, so far it was my favourite footballing year so far. But I really am enjoying the move to DLR now, and it's a completely new chapter that I'm really taking everything into. So yeah, it's a nice change, and really exciting. I'm loving every week.
Looking back at how you started playing the Women's National League, were you always going to be a footballer? Was football always your big sport?
Yeah, well, I played Gaelic as well. They were kind of the two, and I juggled between the two till I was about 16 maybe. And then when it gets to that stage, you kind of have to make a decision. And football was always the one that I wanted to stick with. I was obviously with Shells at the time, and all my friends were playing football, and it was kind of it was the one I wanted to go for. I started playing like underage international, and once you start that, you can't really be doing more than one sport to do it properly. So yeah, football was always the one right from when I was 4 or 5 on the street with boys and stuff. So yeah, it's one that hopefully has a few more years in anyway. Not that old yet.
I hope you're not that old, because I'm pretty sure we're the
No.
same age. Looking at it there, you mentioned playing with the boys growing up. It's really changed the amount of opportunities for women's footballers. We know now. Obviously, you can stream all the games each week. You can have you have the cup final on TV. You have a few games on TT Cahir season now. It's night and day really when you look back a few years ago. The Ireland women's team were paying for their own tracksuits.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the change is massive, and obviously I've kind of grown up through the changes. As I said, when I started football, there was no girls teams at all. I was playing with the boys, and obviously that was good. Like it's good being with boys teams. It is quicker and it helps the development. But I think it's important that girls do have girls teams that they can play for. And you can see even with DLR, like there's young girls coming to our games that, they're coming to see, and they're coming to see these players that they're looking up to. Whereas when I was younger, you kind of only had like male footballers to look up to. So I think it's a really good thing, and it is kind of all coming down just to the exposure that we're getting. The TT Cahir is massive, and the League of Ireland, the TV, I think it's huge that you can actually watch the games now, and people are coming to the games and really, really enjoying them. So I think it's just going to keep growing and growing with the exposure that we're getting. So it's good to see.
You mentioned there the kind of role models. I mean, I would have grown up watching football around the 2002 World Cup. It would have been Damien Duff, Robbie Keane, but you wouldn't have known there was a women's team. And nowadays we can look up to the likes of Katie McCabe, we can look up to the likes of Denise O'Sullivan. We have an array of players throughout the Women's National League and the national team that we can look up to. It is great. One thing I love about the DLR game is seeing all the young fans, the very young fans, 5 or 6 or 7, coming to games. They're cheering for the players. They have their signs. It's certainly a community club anyway, and that's one good thing about one of many good things about the Women's National League. It's very much a community league.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this week that we're trying to get young girls to come to the game, especially this week, and there's been free tickets being handed out to schools and stuff. So if schools and clubs can get in that and have the young girls coming to the game, it only drives us on the pitch, and it's really good for them to see that they can follow that pathway, that they're not looking up to, as you said, like Damien Duff and thinking, how do I get there? They can look at players in the league that they'll be able to play in and work their way up to where like Katie McCabe and Denise O'Sullivan are. So, it benefits us to have them at the games, and it obviously benefits them to show that they can follow the same pathway. So yeah, it's really promising.
Looking at the season ahead, we talked a bit about the season so far. Looking at the season ahead, we've said every player we've had on the set that look, the plan is to mount a title challenge at least, but I'm sure part of that is just taking it week by week and not thinking too far ahead. You can't win the league after this will be the 5th round of games. You can't win the league after 5 rounds. You have to play every round of games to win the league. So I'm sure it's kind of that balance of hoping you can mount the title challenge, but at the same time not talking too much about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we went through our goals at the start of the season, and as you said, that was our goal for the title. But then when you're in training Tuesday and Thursday, you're just focusing on the game that's ahead. And I think years ago you'd be focusing on the big games that were coming up. You'd be saying we have Shells this week, and then in 2 weeks we have Wexford and Team, and then a few weeks later down the line. But now there's no easy games. So you can't really afford to look further than the following Saturday. Like, we know we have at Rome this week, which is going to be a huge test for us. They're after putting in a really good performance and a good scoreline against the Galway team that we got a draw off. So, we know it's going to be a tough one, and you can't afford to look past it. So we kind of just have to take each game as it comes. And I think the way we prepared was very well. On the Tuesday we analyse ourselves. On the Thursday we analyse the team we're playing against. So, each week we're just focused on ourselves and the team we're playing against, which kind of keeps our heads focused on just what's coming. And then once the Saturday's done, you reflect on it and kind of put it behind you, take the mistakes that you made, learn from them, and build on the positive things. So yeah, it really is kind of going just week by week, because as you said, it's so long. You can't really look towards November yet. We're still just at the end of March. So yeah, that is really it, just week by week.
It really has grown the league in the last 2 seasons since it's expanded with the addition of Athlone, Bowes and Treaty. There was a time it was pretty much Team Shells and Wexford and maybe maybe Galway or Cork could put in a decent result now and then, but you'd be getting these 8, 9, 10 nil results, and that's not good for the league. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the team that wins. It doesn't help the team that loses. It seems like there's not going to be any real easy games. We might get the odd big scoreline, but there's not going to be any easy games anyway this season.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, like there might be some shock results, but I think they could go either way. Like the way the league ended last year, I think that just kind of summed up the Women's National League that anything can happen. So you have to go into every game and put your best performance out. And as you said, you know, the teams that were in the bottom half of the season, they used to be kind of games that not that you could take for granted, but you could go in and you could maybe try new things and you could say, look, we'll get the point here. But every single team you play now, and even Sligo coming into the league, their first year, they've really shown that their teams put it up to, you know, like put a really good battle against us. And then obviously last week, you know, like they were getting on the score sheet and stuff. So I think it's really good for the league and good for us as players that every single week you have a competitive game to be playing, and it's only going to kind of benefit all the players individually and just make it better for the spectators as well, that it's a really competitive league. So it's going to be a good one this year.
You mentioned the last day of the season there. Just for Wexford, it was a bit chaotic. No fit goalkeeper. Adele Kennedy ended up stepping in. How far down the list of potential goalkeepers were you? Were you next up with Adele and wanted to do it?
I actually used to be a goalkeeper with boys for a year or two, so I kind of hoping none of them find out about that. I wouldn't have fancied going into goals, but look, Adele's one of those players that if she was asked to do anything, she'd do it straight away, and she played well. She was there, you know, that kind of way, and that just shows the league as well. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, we never expected, like with Wexford, that we wouldn't have a keeper fit for that day. So look, it just shows the character that the players in the league have, that they're willing to go in and do anything for their team, and that's the way it went. But look, with Wexford, we were disappointed not to be challenging at that time, but to be involved in a game that was so dramatic, it was brilliant, the atmosphere and everything. So yeah, it's really good for the league.
Yeah, it is indeed, and we do have a lot of players in this league. They can play in multiple positions. They play multiple sports. A lot of players play Gaelic football or camogie or something as well. It's an odd thing in women's sport in general in this country. We have a lot of Gaelic players who play football or rugby, a lot of rugby players who play Gaelic or football. I don't know why you think that is, that we have that so many women's athletes. They're kind of they're adept at many sports. It's not, whereas in the men's game it's kind of, you know, you play football, you play rugby, you play one or the other, whereas women's game, it's not uncommon to have someone playing a football match on a Saturday and then a Gaelic football match on a Sunday.
Yeah, I know, yeah, and as like myself, I played Gaelic and soccer for, you know, most of my life, so I don't really know what it comes down to. I suppose for girls, when you have an interest in one sport, like, it probably comes with it that you've interested in a lot of them. So, you know, I think it's good, as you said, if you're playing a match on a Saturday and playing a match on a Sunday, you know, once you're looking after yourself, it's only benefiting you, like extra training and stuff. So, you know, if you can balance it right and you can enjoy yourself as well, I don't see why there's anything wrong with it, you know, playing the couple of sports.
We've asked this question about teammates a few times about who you take to a desert island. It's been misinterpreted and interpreted in different ways. Some people have taken it very literally as if we're interrupting the season. But you can interpret this question in any way you want. If you could take 3 players with you to a desert island, we'll say you're stuck on the desert island. It's not an optional thing. Who 3 players do you think you take with you?
Okay. Jesus, I don't know. Right, entertainment wise.
We'll say you have books, you have shelter and food, and there's a television, and there is Wi-Fi. So don't worry about that.
Oh, okay, sorry, it's not too bad. Right. Yeah. Okay, take me straight away, entertainment wise. She's actually a very good singer. I don't know if anyone said that. If you ever have her on, that is sing for you. Yeah.
No one's mentioned the singing yet. I'll try to.
No, she can sing as well. Yeah, no, better to sing for you. She's quite good. And then obviously she's a nurse as well, so that would be kind of thinking practically. Who else would I have? Shauna Carroll maybe. She's the one you go to when you're having trouble with your GPS. And I'd say even on a desert island, the lads would still want to put their trackers and stuff, you know, so she'd be handy to have there. And the last one, Jack Gleeson for protection. I actually don't think anybody would come near us, any animals or anything, if Jack Gleeson was there. So there's 3, yeah.
I wouldn't start a fight with Jess Gleason, certainly.
Yeah, exactly.
Jess Gleason told me to get out of her way, I'd get out of her way.
There you go, yeah.
Well, we mentioned there best with the music in the dressing room. Are we going with Kate Mooney?
Well, she can be questionable sometimes. I think I'm still quite new to judge. I need another few weeks to kind of suss everybody. I think it's usually Carla or Katie that's on it. And they're doing a good job. Some again questionable songs, but no, so far so good. So I'd say maybe between those three, but if you come to me in a few weeks, maybe it'll be a different answer.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later in the season about it. But what are you adding to the communal playlist this season?
Oh, I'm kind of like oldies, they'd be mine, kind of old Chris Brown, Brianna, those kind of ones. They don't really get played that often, so I like to put in my request again. But yeah, no, they're doing a good job. Gets the dressing room before games, so that's all.
And you're a teacher as well. Who do you think of the squad is most likely to get the pension?
Oh, most likely to get attention. Probably Eve. Very cheap. Yeah. Have to put her back in her place. Yeah.
Yeah, she was really a bit smart when we had her on, actually saying off the ball her favourite sports podcast. So yeah, she now coming around to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the teacher's pet in the squad?
Oh, teacher's pet. How can I answer that one? I'm not getting trouble. What am I going to say? Oh, I can't. You're going to get me in trouble if I answer that one.
Okay, don't worry. You can, maybe you'll want to tell us at the end of the season. When,
yeah, that's okay.
Lynn, all the best for the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll talk to you again on the DLR Wave show or after a match. Good luck this weekend.
Lovely, thanks so much.
And at Postal Sport, we'll be at the UCD Bowl this weekend, and we'll be doing our fundraiser. So it might look a bit strange. May involve a Halloween mask, a bit like it did last season, but we're fundraising for As I Am Ireland, so you can check out that link on our Twitter and Instagram at Postal Sport and postpost.sport.blog for all the information. Thanks very much for listening, and keep following the waves.